Was another hero summoned from Earth, or was it a complete accident? Let's talk about Azarinth Healer. Hey everybody, welcome back to Fantasy Inc. My name is Wythe, and today we are talking about the series Azarinth Healer by the author Rhaegar. This series was narrated by the famous Andrea Parsnow, and it is one for the record books so far. I was a big fan of this one for a lot of reasons that we'll jump to later on, but big shout out to the main character, Aaliyah. There is a lot of protagonists out there that can be relatable to some certain degree, but when it comes to our main gal, Aaliyah, in this book, I have yet to see a more understanding protagonist to the common man, or woman in this case, like Aaliyah. She is as relatable as you can write, in my opinion, at the very least, and Rhaegar did a phenomenal job with this character. But enough about that, let's talk about what Aaliyah's been going throughout the beginning of the series with a semi-spoiler-free review. This one starts out with Aaliyah working a dead-end job as a fast food restaurant employee, doing some kickboxing at her gym on the side, and starting out her college. And she is not looking forward to the next couple years of life just because it is going to be a bit of a drag. That is until she wakes up on a grass field on a new planet she comes to find out in the middle of a forest surrounded by drakes. And she runs away from drakes, from wolves, and trying to survive until she finds an abandoned temple of the Azarinth Order. There she starts her journey, trying to understand her new power after months of training until she can face the world and the monsters surrounding her. This series is different from other ones because there's no kingdom summoning her to face the demon lord, there's no god bringing her to this new world to play the game of games. You know, she is just randomly there one morning and she has no direction other than the one she picks for her. And she is a fairly simple woman when it comes down to it. She wants to fight and gain more power, she wants to eat, and she wants to protect her friends that she makes along the way. So this series is definitely one that y'all should check out, and here are a few reasons why. When it comes to the first pro, it has been a while since I reviewed a LitRPG series on this channel, and for that you have my apologies. I'm branching out a little bit, but happy to come back to the roots here, and this one does not disappoint. It is a classic crunchy LitRPG. You're getting stat blocks, you're getting power boosts, and you're getting a magic system that is extremely quantified. I appreciate this one especially because it keeps things semi-simple and understandable for the reader and doesn't overcomplicate things too much. You understand her stat block, even though intelligence leads to more strength for her, but that's just because of her class. So it's not exactly standard, I would say, but the magic system is easy to understand. In this one, you get two classes. So obviously, Aaliyah starts with her class as the Azarinth Healer. I don't think that's too much of a spoiler, seeing the name of the book. But throughout the series, she then tries to find the next class that is going to complement her current one. And it is a phenomenal pick on her part, if I do say so myself. The one con for the series, in my opinion, is the pacing. And not the pacing of the storytelling. The storytelling is phenomenal and it's definitely hitting each note it needs to. More in relation to the power progression. This is definitely a progression fantasy series slash lit RPG, and where other series, work up to gaining levels. And don't get me wrong, she is doing a lot of fighting and earning those levels. It is happening incredibly fast. And you could argue, well, that's because she keeps getting herself into dangerous situations. And to that, I completely agree. Yes, the author's trying to keep us on our toes, trying to keep things entertaining because it is a progression fantasy series, but it's not going to be something like Cradle, where, you get to book 7 where things start to really pick up with power levels. No, you're seeing that at the beginning of book 2 almost. Needless to say, book 3, she's already incredibly overpowered. And yes, there's still enemies to fight. There always is with progression fantasy series until they are the top dog. But at the end of the day, it is fast as heck. The second and last pro, which relates to the con here, ironic, right? something I always do, I feel like, is that Aaliyah is a very moral murder hobo. After a conversation on my top 10 favorite trope videos, I had a conversation with one of my subscribers, Mr. Doug, shout out Mr. Doug, about what being a murder hobo actually is. And that is killing anything and everything for experience or loot or desire, really what it comes down to, but there is no line that you won't cross. And that's basically how I can understand it. He had a very much more elegant explanation, which you can see right there. When it comes to Aaliyah, she is not afraid to pick a fight with any monster, other than maybe one or two that have 4 question marks above their head. But at the same time, she's not going to go around offing civilians, which is ideal for a protagonist here. She does like to fight though, and if that's not evident to you by chapter 20, then I don't know what you've been reading. And with that mindset, obviously, she's going to progress very quickly, but I do love a character who is not going to be held back by social norms or cultural boundaries on what should be the correct speed to gain levels. She's a hero, or at least in our eyes, she's a hero. Maybe not to the realm itself. And she is going to stop at nothing until she's able to completely protect her friends. And that is a tall order with all the trouble she keeps getting up to. All in all, I really do appreciate this series. Andrea Parsino did a phenomenal job as the narrator for this one. I'm super happy that Rhaegar was able to work with such a talent in the narrator space. And as y'all know, she's the author for The Wandering Inn. So as y'all can understand, it must be very difficult to get her on schedule here, but the author and her are doing a phenomenal job working together. Thus far, to my knowledge, there are 5 books out on audio so far. I do not know how long the series is going to go for. If you have read it or are up to date, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Today, no deep dive. I've got a lot of recording to do, so I'm gonna skip out on y'all. Hope you do not mind there, but it's definitely worth picking up. Anyway, I appreciate everyone's time, and be sure to keep reading.